Online misinformation and hate speech continue to plague social media. Meta and Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg says he's following the footsteps of ex-owner Elon Musk by getting rid of third-party fact-checking.
Bravo. Bravo.
Now, here's what he said yesterday.
We've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship. The recent elections also feel like
I already gave my view on this video. If you would like to see that, go check out the video I posted a few days ago, but let's keep going.
a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms.
I'm just curious because human rights activists warn that this is a major step back that'll have misinformation, conspiracy theories, and bigotry running wild on the site. My question is, when did fact-checking become a bad thing?
Since Donald Trump became president.
Yes.
No. I think her name is Joy. No, that's some bullshit. It became a bad thing since Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and the Democrats and the liberals, the radical left, got control of what fact-checking is supposed to be and what missing disinformation is supposed to be, because they didn't. It's a difference between fact-checking, like checking if something is true or not, and taking down information or controlling the discourse of certain topics and deplatforming people because they're just discussing or saying things that go against the narrative that the powers that be want to push. And these ladies understand this, but they are a part of the machine that the legacy media is, and that wants to control the minds of the people and to censor people, to, you know, herd the sheep in a certain direction rather than allowing free and fair discourse and for ideas to flourish and be debated in the public square that is social media. And the audience that they had, I mean, I know it's a show and they got like a sign up, and every time they say their scripted lines, it's a big ass sign that says applaud, scream. So but you know, liberals are crazy. So I think they actually do go crazy about that bullshit she just said.
Absolutely. I have said from the beginning that the worst thing that he has done is cause this misinformation and lying going on.
Alternative facts.
This alternative facts that Kellyanne Conway,
yes.
she said alternative facts. You know,
I'm sorry I keep stopping this shit, but one thing of the many things that I dislike about, you know, radical liberal people is the terminology that they use. Like, just talk straight. Like, alternative facts. What the fuck is an alternative fact? Well, let's keep going.
This guy Zuckerberg, I saw the movie, wasn't it Social Network?
Yeah.
Yes.
Where he says basically, I'm creating Facebook so people have a community, so that people can talk to each other.
Exactly.
All of a sudden, it's become this big thing about, and a big lying machine that's going on.
Yeah.
And, you know, the wokeness is what is at the bottom of this.
Yeah, I just want to say, I'm sorry. If being woke is a bad thing, that means that the fact that I care about you, regardless of what you say or who you are, I want to make sure your family is as well off as mine is. That's too woke. It's too woke for me to say to you, hey, listen, if you don't want your kids reading this, maybe the best thing to do is let's go to the library together and I'll tell the librarian what I don't mind my kids reading, and then you can tell the librarian what you don't want your kids to read.
What the fuck is Whoopi talking about? Could somebody please tell me what the fuck Whoopi is talking about? Because in one sense, okay, if you got a kid and you don't want them on Facebook reading certain things because they're so young and impressionable, for one thing, monitor your kids' online shit. let me stop cussing. Monitor your kids' online activities, or don't allow your kid on Facebook, because the grown-ups are gonna say and exercise their constitutionally given free speech. You know, and if you take them to the library, you know, you of course then you also can control what books they're gonna. I used to like Whippy because of Sister Act and shit, but you know, that's a whole nother story.
That's too woke.
Well, the new rules on Meta, Facebook, they're imperfect.
I like this lady. I forget what her name is, but she been speaking out a bit more lately. You know, since your boy Trump got in office and shit.
I will say this. I think it's a balance between content moderation, free speech, and fact-checking. And what I think Facebook has gotten wrong for some time is they've had third-party fact-checkers, but then Facebook Meta would ultimately make a decision on, can this content be on? Oftentimes, fact-checkers can't, or these staffers at Facebook can't have biases. I actually think, listen, X has become a hellhole for a lot of reasons, but I think that community notes actually work. You have to cite your source.
Let me interrupt you. What does free speech have to do with fact check?
These women are so stupid. Joy just made me forget what they compelling me to curse. Let me go back a little bit so I can see what was said.
But I think that community notes actually work. You have to cite your source.
Let me interrupt you. What does free speech have to do with fact checking?
Because it's imperfect. It's not as simple as the sky is blue, the grass is green. We know the facts on that. Sometimes it comes into opinions or viewpoints. This is still a town square. I tend to be a free.
Yes, that's the problem with it, because they're trying to control and censor people's opinions. People should be able to debate about any and every topic and not be in fear of a strike or losing their platform.
Free speech absolutist, as long as it's not harming someone else.
We know the difference between an opinion and a fact. We do it every day.
A lot of this viewpoints where somebody could say, well, this is my viewpoint on it, and they were moderating things around language you used around certain issues. But to the point I was saying, community notes actually work. They have to be cited to sources. My issue is the algorithms. These tech companies are run by billionaires. They're completely unaccountable. Congress hasn't regulated tech in over 30 years, and they can push what you're seeing more of. They can hold back what you're not seeing, and that to me is the biggest issue. But we can complain about it all we want. We need to tell Congress that they need to also get involved.
Yeah, they absolutely do. The misinformation, the World Economic Forum listed misinformation and disinformation as the most severe short-term threat globally. So by removing these fact checkers, I understand the concern was, and Joy, this
Now I remember what I was going to say. The thing about fact checkers, I think all Meta's fact checkers were California residents. So they were probably very ultra radical liberal. And if you have compromised and super biased people checking the facts according to their view on reality and politics and stuff, then it's not fair, because the whole thing that conservatives and Republicans and people on the other side of the argument, our whole thing about it is we're the only ones who get fact checked and get taken down, deplatformed, shadow banned. But if you're a liberal, you can spew as much disinformation and alternative facts vis-a-vis a woman can be a man and a man can be a woman, and you know, all the stuff like that. Like, you can, whatever you want reality to be, and spew and talk about, and as long as it's like uplifting a marginalized community, then it's cool. But if somebody who's a conservative who lives in actual reality wants to say anything against that maybe hurt someone's feelings, then they're not allowed their right to free speech, and that's bullshit.
answer your question. There were some conservative viewpoints that were being taken down. So these fact-checking industry started right in 2016 when President Trump was elected the first time. Yeah, it would be something like when there were debates on masks or shutdowns, they were taking these things off of the site, which as someone who could have debated that, these people were saying you're taking our content off of this site. But there's a difference between Alex.
Is that allegedly or is that factual?
Oh,
That's facts.
There are conversations. Yeah, there are reports. There are things they took off. But the bigger point here is there's a difference between Alex Jones spewing hate, disgusting, false, and having a difference of opinion. But either way, I'd rather have them get it wrong occasionally with a screen door between free speech and say anything you want. So I'm frustrated that they did this because social media is already on the downgrade, and he pretty much admitted he did this because of President Trump.
You know, I'm going to just reject the fact that we don't know what a fact is.
Really?
I reject it outright.
No
There
one's
is a difference
suggesting that,
between opinion.
This lady is one of the dumbest people in media. Every time she making my eye twitch.
And fact. And there is, journalists, like people that are, work for the New York Times, they know how to fact check. Journalism students are taught. You fact check 3 different sources.
Oh, 3 sources.
So this notion, this notion that, the reason that they're doing this is because, they can't fact check it.
But free speech gives you a right to be wrong. I have a right to post something that's inaccurate. I have a right to say the grass is blue.
Facts are different.
That shouldn't be taken down simply because it's fact.
Disinformation is different. And so I think what you're finding is this company is also getting rid of content restrictions on topics like gender identity and immigration. By the way, household objects is now permitted on Facebook.
But do you think it shouldn't be as much?
Users are now allowed to, for example, refer to women as household objects.
It's an interesting conversation.
Yeah, I thought the clip was longer, but yeah. This is what can always be expected of The View to talk about. Of course, they don't want free speech to be a thing on social media. And they wish somebody like Kamala Harris and the Democrats were still in the White House to, police what people can and can't say online, But I tend to be in the group of people who think you should be able to say what you want to say online. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think the government should have the power to put pressure on social media companies to police people's ideas. I think that's criminal. I think it's government overreach, and I don't think it's done. The whole thing about it with me, I don't think it's done with the best intentions. I don't think it's done with good intentions. I think it's done so they can push a certain narrative and a certain way of thinking that they want the mass majority of people to think like. Because since the beginning of media, they've leaned on propaganda, and they've been able to control the public discourse for so long, and now it's shifting more to independent media, podcasts, people on TikTok. I mean, it's the whole reason why they want to get rid of TikTok, because they don't own it and they can't control what people say on it. You know what I'm saying? And I just think they want to police what people do online for very nefarious and evil reasons, So I am glad. I don't outrightly trust Mark Zuckerberg, but I'm glad that he's kind of seen the light and he's allowing free discourse on his site. Let's see how he's gonna roll it out, how he's gonna come into effect. I like that he's going to community notes instead of like really biased fact checkers. And who cares what The View has to say about it? But anyway, get in the comments section. Let me know what you think. Sorry, these ladies make me fumble over my words a little bit, but they really get me worked up because I think they are really disingenuous. I think they believe like maybe 40% of what they say, and they're being paid millions to push narratives like we were just discussing. But anyway, subscribe to the channel if you found any value in this video. I go by the name of Tommy Guns. This is Quote Goes Podcast. Appreciate you for tuning in. And I'll see you guys next time, man. Let's keep this going. Peace.